Hey guys, welcome to our podcast where it has to be said. My name is Elvis.
And I'm Denise.
Babe, let's talk.
Well, it's been a while. We almost didn't make it to this episode either.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy for those that I think you posted it right that we wasn't gonna record last
For
week.
last week, yeah.
It was Father's Day, so we did a little escape. Me and Elanice went to Puerto Rico. We got to spend some time over there with the family. We got some time with my grandfather and my father for Father's Day. Plus, we were celebrating her birthday as well. While Denise stayed over here with Elena.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting.
I sure
We should
did.
start talking about that just in general.
What?
How Father's Day was, because I know you posted a video. Um, how important Father's Day was for you.
Well, that week, Alina is Alina. But I had posted that I was kind of like in a funk that weekend. I don't know, like I was still like my mom passed by, my brother for Saturday and whatnot. So it wasn't about being alone,
Yeah.
even though I don't mind being alone. Like I enjoy having that alone time. And I didn't actually get to have it, surprisingly,
Yeah,
this
you had
past week,
somebody all the time in the
except for
house.
Sunday. So Sunday turned out to be good, but I think I did not want to be alone because I was kind of like a little bit in that funk. I was like sad and I was already like making the plan like, oh, I'm gonna go Sunday to church, but I'm not gonna stay for the Father's Day dinner. For many reasons. I'm struggling with relationships, friendships. So I
Hmm.
was like, my main person, which is Elvis, wasn't gonna be there. And he was like the reason I was celebrating Father's Day. So when I'm home, I finally realized like this is why I'm in a funk because he's not here. Um and I posted that, and it's funny because I was posting it on Instagram under like the hands free option, so I don't have to hold it. And then I started crying, so I couldn't. I had to save that one, but I didn't post it because I'm like I'm not gonna post myself crying.
You should have. I told
I'm
her to post it.
I'm learning to be vulnerable, but not that vulnerable yet. To like post myself
I'll cry. I'll post myself.
crying. And I was just like, not having my father, not having a relationship with him, and having a strained relationship with him since I want to say 17. So
Hmm.
since after my sweet 16, and then the moment I called him to let him know I was pregnant, and someone else had already told him that, after that, I never heard of him again. And we've never had a relationship. Um, so Father's Day was always like a holiday I didn't look forward to celebrating. It made me sad, not jealous. I'm not. My personality's not. I'm not jealous of what people have. Like I've never been in that sense, but it just made me sad of what I lacked. It was like a reminder constantly of what I was missing in my life that day. And as a growing teenager, God worked with me in that and kind of learning Him to be my spiritual father. But and then, me getting with Elvis, he kind of became that person I celebrated, right? So I didn't have a father, my father to celebrate, but I had a father now to celebrate who was my husband. And so every year we've been able to celebrate together. And this was the first that you weren't here. And I think that made me sad that I'm like, oh, my person to celebrate wasn't here. But then I went to church and they sang all these nice spiritual father, God being our father songs. And I was uplifted and felt good again. But yeah, that happened.
That was nice to hear. Now, I was surprised because I was in. By the way, I travel with Elanice a few times in the year to go visit the family.
He
We
did it
traveled.
once this year.
Well,
Like once
this.
maybe every year by yourself.
Why are you always correcting me? It was a few times. It wasn't Father's Day.
Yeah.
And we always enjoyed, and I think you never felt sad. So I just want to point that out that it wasn't necessarily because we left,
No, it was
because
specifically that the holiday.
yeah, and you know what? I didn't even think about that because we never even had a conversation about Father's Day or how important it is.
But
Because
I didn't
I love celebrating Father's Day. I
but
feel
I
like
didn't
it's
feel
my
a
day.
certain way. I didn't think about it until you were gone. So it's not like I had those feelings before. Like
Absolutely.
I'm sure if I would have voiced it before you even bought your ticket, you might have maybe
Canceled.
thought, no,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
maybe you
canceled.
would have thought about it for a second,
No, I probably would have canceled.
or try to convince me
I didn't
to
need to
go with
go.
you.
I didn't. It was more for celebrating Elenice's birthday and Father's Day because I haven't spent it with my father in a
Yeah.
very long time.
And
So
we didn't know what to do for her birthday either. I think that was the easiest.
yeah, we gave her a choice. We said Puerto Rico or Six Flags with your
Yeah,
friends,
she wanted to go
and she
with
said Puerto
friends.
Rico
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah, so that made it a lot easier and cheaper.
So when I saw the video, it's funny because I was just chilling in the house with the family, and we were ready to go. And to, I don't know, we were going out. I think to the movies, and I was looking at the Instagram because I had not looked at it. And when I saw it, I said, "Oh shoot, she looked like she's gonna cry." So I remember we were talking about it, and you were like, "Yeah, I have the version of me crying." I said, "So why you didn't post that?
No.
Like post that? You know, people gotta see that we are human beings. Like there's times where we're gonna laugh, there's times we're gonna cry, there's times we're gonna be upset, there's times that we're gonna disagree. And listen, not only that, but it should be said that listen, there is fathers out there that are worthy of being honored, are worthy of being missed, are worthy of saying, listen, this is a true man. This is a true father.
Yeah.
And I think me just looking at you and just hearing those words and looking at that, you were being completely honest with like, man, like I feel good as a father, right? Because not I'm not your father, but I'm doing the job that I'm supposed to do for my girls. And my wife could see that,
Yeah.
right? It's not me telling you, oh, I'm doing this for the girls, I'm doing this for the girls. No, it's something that you could see in my life. And that's just a testimony of what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to do as a man and as a father. And I felt great. Even if you were
I'm
crying.
glad.
Yeah,
No,
no, I
I
felt
was
great.
not, with the
We
crying.
need to hear this.
I know, but with the crying is like, all right, granted, that video would have been, all right, I'm probably gonna, they're gonna clap back at me for this one. Like with that video, it would have been genuine, my tears, in the
Yeah.
sense that it was coming, it literally happened. Like I was just like, why am I crying? Like it was just like, it just happened.
Comment below if you want us to
No,
post that video eventually.
It just happened, right? What be killing me of social media is when I see people who are having like a breakdown, emotional breakdown or whatever breakdown, and then it's like you take the moment to be like, oh, I'm gonna record this moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all right. I guess that's a little different. But I would just feel like I'd be so judgmental of people who do that I'm like, they're gonna judge me if I post myself crying. But that's why my eyes were like that because I did.
I think it's also
cry.
us
But then I
being-
gangster up. I cry real quick. I let it out, and then that's it. We gotta go. We dry these tears and keep it
But
moving.
you wasn't crying for something bad.
Yeah, I wasn't crying because
That's
I
the whole
was sad.
point. So there's nothing bad about you crying or even posting or even sharing. Because listen, I get mad all the time because people you start talking bad about, oh, there's no real men out there, there's no real fathers, or we're lacking this and that. And I'm like, hey, I'm a here.
I'm
a good
women,
father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't want to be glorified, but don't like judge everybody and just put us in one side.
No, you
and
deserve your
saying,
credit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
do. You do.
Thank you.
You do. So I can't complain. But I think also sometimes as women we want to say or dictate what a father should be, right? And I think I learned that in our relationship that I couldn't tell you what to do as a dad.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how to, play with Ellie or with Alina. Like there's certain things that I couldn't get involved in, and I had to let you grow and learn how to do too, because I was also learning. And I think that sometimes as moms, we're so hard on the men we do have in our lives, right? That I can see how sometimes some men just want to fall back and be like, you know what, you do everything then, right? Not necessarily saying the man leaves the relationship, but even within a relationship, if you're constantly overpowering and always overwhelming the man and saying, you're doing this wrong, let me do it, this, that, when it comes to the caregiving of the child, it kind of makes them want to fall back in their involvement with the child. And I think that's something that I learned with Elvis is that I had to let him be. And it sometimes, like early in our relationship, I think it was a little bit of friction because
of course,
I had to realize that I was putting expectations of what I lacked as a father on Elvis, right? So I was very hard on him, I think sometimes about his image and what he had to do as a father, forgetting, like, just because I lacked in those areas doesn't necessarily mean that's what my daughter needs,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, it's not for me to tell you what to do with her.
Yeah, there's no motivation with that. I think when you're bringing somebody down of you got to do this, you got to do that. I mean, work on yourself, right? And I work on my side. So, and then at the end of the day, we're a team. We're in this
Mhm.
together
Mhm.
because we both have the same goal, which is just to be the best we can as parents for our kids and provide to them as much as we can as parents as we could, right?
And we all deserve recognition because it's, whether we're mothers or fathers. And I think sometimes, um I've heard it, like, some women be like, "Oh, as he should," you know what I mean? But if it was the other way around, you don't want to hear that from someone saying, like, you doing your woman or motherly duties
Hmm.
or your role, oh, as she should. You don't want to do that. So we shouldn't impose that on men. I think we should recognize the worth we both have in the relationship and in the family unit, and the importance we have, and encourage one another.
Absolutely.
So I'm
Yeah.
glad that brought you some motivation.
No, that was great. I mean, it was encouraging, right? Now because I was waiting for a message, but man, you look at everything out there, and I mean, us men, I mean, we get hammered left and right, right? I'm not saying that women don't, but obviously I'm a man, so I'm gonna go
From
stand
your
for what
perspective.
my perspective exactly. And everybody wants to dictate what a man should be or what he shouldn't be, right? And I always say is a double standards, and we have conversations all the time about this, right? For example, if somebody was getting divorced, who are they gonna give custody to? The mother, most of the time, right? Which sometimes that's not necessarily right, depending the situation, right? I'm not promoting divorce, but I'm just giving an example
It
where
happens.
how about if that's a good father? How about if he's a provider? How about he didn't do the mistake for the marriage to break up? How about if he's the responsible one? How about if the house is his, right? Why not give the option for the father?
Well, if your guys are married, the house is ours.
Or what if they're renting a place or something? I'm just
Mhm.
giving an example
Yeah.
where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
automatically they want to give it to the
Everything
mother.
is take away from the dad,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it
but
goes
it's
to the
an
woman.
example. Okay, so let's just say you do take the child and we share custody, but you only take it once a weekend. Like, man, that's my kid.
Yeah.
I want to be with them when they're little. I want to be them when they're young, when they're old, when they're teenagers, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's crazy because as a father that separates right from the mother, usually they only have a small portion of time, and a lot of times they miss on the most important moments on that kid's life
Mhm.
because it just didn't work out with mom and pops. And
Yeah.
it's not fair to kind of push the father away when that father's probably he deserves the award of the year. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And again, I'm not trying to promote divorce, but I'm just saying like there's just a double standard when it comes to that all the time.
Yeah. And it makes me think too about you know, some memories I do have of my dad.
Yeah.
And I remember being very young and living in the Bronx with my mom and a boyfriend at that time. And it wasn't the ideal dynamic, but I do remember one time he picked me up for a visit. And in retrospect, as you grow older, you kind of have flashbacks of some of those moments. And I remember him trying, right? I
Yeah.
don't know how much he tried, but I can recall at least two occasions in which he tried. And I always took preference to my grandmother when it was either, okay, who do you want to go with? I chose my grandmother over him.
Yeah.
I want to say at least twice off the back I could think of two specific moments. So I can see how, and what you're saying is, in a separation of a relationship, how that also causes strain in the dynamic of the child with the parent, not only the
Absolutely.
dad, um because of the toxic stuff that's happening among the adults. And so I can see that, why, when I'm thinking about it now in retrospect, as to how sometimes a father or a mother may need to feel like they need to pull back or kind of give up in making that effort, right?
Hmm.
um and then when you were talking to it, it reminded me of a conversation. I don't know if I should say who it was, but I had a conversation with somebody, and he's talking about, he's not with the mother of his child, and he's talking to me about the idea of her moving on with another guy. So in my mind, as a woman, I'm only thinking of two reasons. He's either uncomfortable because he's jealous and wants to be with her still, or two, because he thinks something's bad's gonna happen to his daughter, right? Because usually, like, that's kind of like in the back of the mind. I don't want no one touching my daughter, or harming her, or whatever, or not loving my daughter.
Which is
Correct,
understandable.
which is understandable. But his reason behind me, it hit me. He was like, I don't want I don't think I will ever be okay with her moving on and living with someone that's not me, only because he'll have the privilege of waking up to my daughter every day,
Mm,
having breakfast, lunch, dinner with her, taking her to school on a daily because they're not together. And, his work is schedule is he's not able to do those things.
that's deep,
So
and that hurts.
so I
Just the
was
thought of that.
I was like, it's that simple, huh? Like sometimes as women, right? Like I could think myself,
That's deep.
right? Because I'm thinking as a woman, oh, in my head as a mom, if we're split up, God forbid, I'm only thinking of the first other two options I said. But I'm not even thinking he genuinely wants to be able to be with his daughter 24/7,
That's a good father right
and
there.
he can't because the relationship is just not gonna work together.
That's
It's with
crazy.
the mom,
That's crazy.
and that hit me too. And I'm like, wow, like there are really good fathers out there. There are men who are really trying to give their
He
best.
just wants to be present
Yeah,
in his kid's life.
yeah. So
And
that
he could a father ask for anything else? Like, listen,
with
let me be a
imperfections,
father.
with imperfections and all, because
I agree,
we
of
all have
course.
imperfections,
But I'm
but
sure that mother's not perfect either.
yeah, but
We all
but
flaws and
flaws and
different.
all, like to hear a man say that about his
Man, that's
child,
deep. That's deep.
I was like, that's so beautiful.
No, that's love. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, everything's good with us, but I could see myself thinking in that particular way if I was in that situation because I don't want to miss her prom nights. I don't want to miss walking her to school. I don't want to miss walking her down the aisle. I don't want to miss her first footsteps. I don't want to miss like those special
Yeah.
moments that can say, "Yo, dad was there
Yeah.
present." I want to represent what it is a father in your life. That if somebody was to say, "Oh, what lacked in your life? How was your childhood?" You can say, "My father was my superhero. My father was the man I would look up to." I mean, that's what I want to be. And it's
Yeah.
not to, again, to glorify myself, but it's part of what I was created for. I think my role as a father is so important, right? Even if you look at it in the Bible, but also your role as a mother is important. Nobody's taking from one side to another.
We're
And I
both
feel
needed.
like
We're both
I feel
needed.
like everything in this world right now is saying, "Oh, no, the mother's more important. No, the father's more important." And not understanding that it's not the mother or the father, it's the family.
We were created to be one.
Yes.
Yep.
And we all play a different role. And a lot of times we just want to dictate what's more important. And listen,
Or who's more important.
every family is completely different,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll give you a perfect example. When I was in Puerto Rico, I was able to spend some time with my grandfather, and my cousin was there. When my father went to jail, he was my father. You know, my cousin for me, he's a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
He was in my moments of life where I was from middle school to high school, where he would show me how to flirt with the girls. I mean, that was important. Show me how to dress. Show me how to have cologne, deodorant, comb my hair. He gave me my first cell phone. He told me what to say, how to be funny, how to. He was in. I will never forget what my cousin did for me. And I give respect to my father because my father is my father, but I say that's my superhero right there. And the crazy part is I'm telling my daughter, I'm like, "Hey babe, this is my cousin. This is my
Yeah.
superhero." And you see my cousin, he looks at me and he's like touching me and he's like, "This is my baby," and he's giving me kisses. I'm like, it doesn't matter. And he's not an old man.
Yeah.
He's in his 40s and I'm in my 30s. And I'm like, man, like at my age, I would be taking care of my cousin if I was to be him.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to take me into his own home and my niece being married with two other kids. And I like, man, you represent not only a man, but also what a father should be, right? And he may not be perfect because he's still not perfect today. But the important moments that I needed a man or a man's role in my life, he was there to say, "I'm here."
And these are things that, like, we can't take away as a woman for you to experience with a
Absolutely
with a
not.
male figure, right?
Absolutely not.
As much as I want to, and there's women that are very good at raising their kids by themselves. I've seen them, hats to them, credits to them, because I wouldn't know how. I probably wouldn't know how to do it. I say that now, but I probably would survive. But, in thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I cannot imagine. But there's just certain things, right? And it just, I don't even have statistics, but if you read statistics about a home that's missing a father or a mother, there's effects, right? Emotionally, mentally, de todo, right? And lacking that. So we're both necessary. It's important.
It's crazy because while we were having that conversation and he's saying, "Oh, I'm like you're my hero," and he's like, "Oh, and you're my baby," and he's saying, and then he says, My father's right next to me, and we're having this conversation with my daughter right there, which I was just pumped up because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I have my father, I have my cousin that's my superhero, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm his baby," but at the same time, my cousin is saying, "But this is my father." That's crazy. So my father is the father to him, basically, in other words, not because that is his father, but he needed
He
a
played a
father.
role. He played a role for him.
Exactly. So it's crazy how he played that role for him, and he played that role for him because he wasn't
But
present. And
yeah.
it's crazy how
But life
us
is
three,
like that.
yeah, but it was just, I was so happy. Like, it
Mhm.
was even that moment for me was
Yeah.
everything. And I'm like, I love my father, but you're also my hero. So it's like, and we could just love each other and just talk about us men. Like,
Yeah.
my cousin was gonna cry and everything. We would just like, and in front of my daughter,
Mhm.
right? And it was like, listen, just because we're men, that doesn't mean that we don't go through stuff, that we don't need each other, or that we don't have downfalls. No, man, like, I don't know. It was just beautiful. Like, I didn't expect that from this trip,
Mhm.
and I felt like it was so many different blessings. Watching you, seeing this, and everything it had to do with being a father. Right? It was Father's Day, and I'm talking to all these fathers, so it was great. I had an amazing time, and we gotta stop competing with who's does what. You
Yeah.
don't hear dudes being like, "I want to fit the role of a mother." You don't hear that.
No, that's true.
But you hear a mother saying all the time, "Oh yeah, I'm a father and a mother." No, you're not. You're a mother. You may want to try to play or represent a shade of what a man is, but you're never gonna be a man.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just being completely honest. Everybody can hate me, but it's the reality. We're not trying to be a woman, and women shouldn't try to be a man when it comes
Yeah.
to raising a child.
Yeah.
And if you guys are not both there present, look at me for example. I mean, it wasn't forever in my life, but I had my cousin there. If you can have one man in your life
Mhm.
that is a man of honor, a man of dignity, a man that could really represent in your life and teach you the ropes and what it is life, then you'll realize and you'll value what a man is because you're gonna be like, listen, not all men are the same. Not all
Yep.
men are the same.
Yep. And if you haven't had someone to play that role, God can be that role, right? So whether you're a man or a woman who hasn't been able or doesn't know how to be that mother or father or that person, whoever you need to be for somebody else, whether it's a brother, so whatever role you need to play in someone's life, God can teach us how to treat others, how to be good people, how to care for others, and how to love others. And what better way of learning about fatherhood, of what you should seek in a man, and also what a man should do for his child is through God. I mean, not having my father in my life affected me in a lot of ways, and we can speak about that on another podcast episode. But learning who God is for my life had helped me heal so much from that void, because it was a void. I was always looking to fill that love of a father through other things. And the only one who fully filled it was God. He helped me heal. He helped me forgive him. That I always tell Elvis, and Elvis is my witness. If he was to come to this day and still tell me, I want a relationship, let's try to make this work, and whatever, I told Elvis, I tell Elvis all the time, I would be willing, because I have no ill in my heart, because at the end of the day, the Bible says to honor your father and mother.
Hmm.
And I gave a class to the juveniles about this before, and it's about honor is just recognizing who that person is, giving respect to that person as a father. Now, separate is separate from tolerating abuse and all this stuff. Like I spoke to them about that. But I recognize you only have one mother and father
Yep.
biologically. That's it. Whether you adopt another person as a father figure or a mother figure, or have other role models, that's different. But nothing can change who you come from, right? And it's what you do moving forward with that.
Absolutely.
And God really helped me heal. He helped me forgive. And as you grow older, once you have kids or go through other life experience, you start kind of seeing other things in retrospect. You can look back and say, man, I can see how this person could have made the decision, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then just ask God to guide you so you can make better decisions, right? Because I think sometimes we get a little fixated on, I don't want to be like so and so. Like, God, help me heal, right? The areas that that person may have lacked in, so I'm no longer bounded to that, and I don't continue those patterns with me, right? Because once I heal and forgive, I let that bondage go, and I can move forward and strive to be a better person.
Amen. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. We have to be humble
Yeah.
when it comes to that, because our parents are not perfect. We're
Yep.
not perfect as parents, and we don't get to
Lord.
pick them.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, we have to kind of cut them a little bit of grace, right? The same grace we want, we kind of got to give it to them. I have a great relationship with my father. I love my father so much, and it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
I was a time in my life where I was trying to prove him that I was a real man and that I'm a good person and this and that. And eventually I realized that seeking God, I was filling up that void. Why? Because my father wasn't present half of my life, right? But I wasn't there to judge him or point fingers at him because he didn't represent who he should have represented in my life, right? Because why? Because throughout that course of life, I was able to find out who God was in my
Yeah.
life and to truly love God and to truly go to my father and not say, "Oh, you failed me this, you failed me this." I said, "Listen, I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I love you. I'm sorry if I failed you as a son and I wasn't the son you were
Yeah.
expecting."
Or we don't have to. So I think we focus on making up for lost time. Let's
That's
start
loss.
over. Let's
Yeah, that was
let's
one of the
start here.
conversations I had with him. I said, "Listen, past is the past.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just move on, like, and spend time with your grandkids."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That for me is everything because my kids are everything. I love my girls,
Yeah.
so for me to just see them
Yep.
together, that just brings a happiness in my life. Listen, and if you don't even have kids, like, just whoever you have issues with right now, forgive them and move forward because life is too short. Today you're here, tomorrow you're not.
Yep.
I'm not saying be best friends, but if they're family,
That's another
they're family.
boundaries is another episode. But think about and meditate, like we said in All About Love, and fixing relationships that are worth keeping.
Amen. It was a good talk.
It had to be said.
And it was said. Take care, guys.